David, let's start off looking back at your first year as a Bruin. How was it?
It was a season of change after 10 years in one spot to change locations, get a new house, new surroundings, teammates, coaches, all that stuff, wrap it into a big ball. It was a season of change. It was difficult. It was a work in progress, but I think it made me a better person, made our family closer, and we're going to be a better team next year with a little bit more comfort at our hands.
What was the biggest surprise for you going to an Original Six market? Of course, we know how passionate the fans are in St. Louis, but there's also tons of tradition in Boston being an Original Six. What was that like for you pulling on the black and gold and playing in that raucous hockey environment?
Yeah, you really draw on some of the history and, team president being Cam Neely and seeing him on a regular basis and being able to speak with him, get some pointers and hopefully grow my game and see what the vision is for the team and try to help that any way I can. It was a growing experience like everything is. Being able to assimilate into a culture with guys like Chara and Bergeron and Marchand and Krejci, and you go down the list, there's a great core that's been there. Tuukka Rask from a championship team that they're thirsty and hungry for another one, and I'm hungry for my first one.
David, I mentioned the coaching change. Bruce Cassidy took over. What was the biggest difference that he brought that you noticed when he took over in February?
Well, he's got a lot of the same tactical things that Claude Julien had, but I think it's just one of those things where it's a new face, a new voice, that when it comes out of a new guy, when the management sends that message that status quo is not good enough, all of a sudden it perks everyone's ears up a little bit, and everyone gives a little bit more. They pay a little bit more attention to the details, and I think we were, one-goal games. We needed to come out on the good side of it, and with Bruce, we were able to do that. With Claude, we came up short on a regular basis, but Claude's got a new job with the rival Canadians, and I think he did a good job with their team as well, and it's going to be a familiar face behind that bench with Montreal coming to town quite a few times this year.
Bruce pushed the offensive envelope. You guys have a little bit more of a dynamic team offensively, especially with the addition of McAvoy coming in, being such a smooth skater, being able to distribute the puck. This upcoming season, what's the ideal game for you guys? What does the A game for you look like from your perspective?
Well, I think that's the identity that we need to still really, carve into stone. That, the Boston Bruins that won the Stanley Cup were kind of a beat you up, smash you in the face, kind of hammer you type of team that you just all of a sudden couldn't take anymore. This team's probably got a, different skill element, higher level of skill. You got Marshy, who's really come into his own. Pasta, who's been a force that scores goals at will. And I think that sort of leaning towards a little bit more of a, fast-paced team that plays with speed, that's going to be able to push pucks and score in bunches, along with, guys like Chara and Kevin Miller and Adam McQuaid that are defensemen that you don't want to go to the front of the net with, or you're going to leave with a bruise. And along with Tuukka Rask, who at times last year was, probably the best goaltender in the league, and other times he was still really good. So I love the team. I think we're only getting better, and with the year more familiarity in our pockets, and some younger guys getting better, some older guys getting better like myself, we're going to push the envelope to certainly make the playoffs, and then not just be satisfied with the first round exit and get further and further along as we go.
Hold on. We know you're an articulate guy, but did you say one of the older guys? You're looking young with that new cut. You're looking fit right now.
That's right.
Yeah, covered up a few thin spots up there.
No, come on. We appreciate you taking us right into your home office there, too.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, 33 in the NHL these days. We need to make that the average instead of the old guy.
I wanted to ask you about one of the young kids. In weeks he mentioned his name, Charlie McAvoy. How impressed were you with the way he jumped right in the playoffs and performed that way?
It was amazing, actually. He's got a swagger, confident swagger about him that's, it doesn't touch cocky quite, but he knows what he's capable of doing. He goes out there and he does it. Play with a guy like Z and log big minutes. Your first NHL games, game one of a Stanley Cup playoff series. Pretty awesome job for the kid, and I think that only shows you with a year of the regular season and growth and taking care of himself, and with the guys that are around him, he'll know everything to expect. He'll have the resources at his disposal, and he's going to have a heck of a year and be a huge part of our growing success this coming season.
Speaking of growing successes, we've seen a great year for USA Hockey in general, specifically, of course, the women's team and women's national team, but, of course, World Juniors. World Juniors were epic. So being a veteran guy and having worn Team USA jersey before, what do you like? McAvoy, of course, aside, what do you like what you're seeing from this great group, especially for a lot of young St. Louis kids like Keller and Tkachuk, etc.?
And Trent Frederick, who's a Boston Bruins young player,
Right.
that's a lot of potential coming up. He's a big boy. I think it just shows how the hockey in the U.S. is developing. More and more players are making it to the NHL. The competitiveness, the resources that are around. A lot of these kids, you go to a pro camp at 18, 20. I'm getting my legs under me, and these kids are flying around. They never take a day off. The skills coaching and everything that they're able to do. Wish it was around more when I was younger, but I just think it speaks volumes to how much time and resources USA Hockey is putting into developing their model and how successful it's been, and it's proven on the international level. And it's good to have some bright spots after maybe or certainly a disappointing World Cup for the men's national team.
David, we know you were involved in many charitable efforts, and I saw a tweet recently about the Starkey Foundation Gala back home in Minnesota. Tell us about that event and what the cause was.
It's the Starkey Hearing Foundation. They raised a ton of money on one night. It's a gala. Steven Tyler, John Fogerty, Darius Rucker performing. Sinbad was the MC. It's just an awesome night. We were able to, actually our involvement started with my wife as a patient. She wears a hearing aid, and we went to Africa on a hearing aid mission, and to serve people that have no clue who you are. They might not have met a white person in their life being from Kenya, and you're able to serve them, put a hearing aid in their ear and make them connect back to the world, maybe hear their parents' voice for the first time. It was just profound. So now we're regulars at the gala. We're trying to help however we can, and it was just an awesome experience being able to serve people and show the world that people across the country or across the world care about you, no matter what you've heard or any stigmas that exist.
That's incredible, David. Awesome work by you, and best of luck moving forward, you and the Boston Bruins.
Thank you kindly.